Thank you very much for accepting to interview with us today. It's gonna run for about maybe 20 minutes, and then we're gonna create some time for uh, just having a discussion at the end of the interview. So we interviewing today for a Scrum Master position, and you are going to be handling about two of our teams. I know that might be a bit challenging, but we need someone that can really fill in the gap for about two teams, and we need someone that have some hand-on experience. And based on your resumes, we see that you have about 4 years of experience. So we're confident that you'll be able to help us handle this role. So, can you give us some of your experience working with multiple teams as a Scrum Master?
Oh, sure. Thank you for the question today, sir. Yeah, I have had experience working with multiple teams and a on my recent job while I was working for Americas. Actually, I had two teams that I was collaborating with these two teams because we were working on a product that was providing information concerning the Germany Airbus project that ran for over 8 months, and we were using the Kanban framework and the Scrum framework. And I was working as a Scrum Master, and I had that opportunity to be helping in collaborating the process throughout these two teams. And even though it was a little bit challenging, but it helped me a lot because I was able to, facilitate all our Scrum events on the other team where we were working and mostly working on an application interface that was helping the company to track the process of that product from from inventory up to the delivery level. And on the Kanban side, we had a team of about 6 developers who were working on that area, and I was in charge of facilitating both these two teams. And I really think working with them for over 6 months gave me some high level of confidence, and I think I can really facilitate two teams, and I had enough of experience working with them. Thank you.
All right, you did mention that you work with both a Kanban team and a Scrum team. What is the difference between both teams?
All right, yeah. It was the organization was practicing two agile frameworks, which was the Kanban and the Agile. And on one section where they were practicing the Kanban, they were using the Kanban framework in carrying out their work. They had, a physical Kanban board, and every day, every developer comes up and pick up a task, then walk through it, and you can physically see what they are doing. And they were presenting everything on the board. And on the other side where I was equally facilitating the team that was working the Scrum, that was using the Scrum framework. They were they were building an application interface, that was running the software that was having all information concerning that product from inventory level to delivery level. So if you look at these two that they were practicing, one was the Kanban was purposely for them to do the physical part of the process in the company, while the Scrum process was mainly for them to run the softwares that were helping the organization to deliver to deliver to their customers in time and at the right product. Thank you.
You did mention about physical and software, kind of like putting a separate line. The Kanban was working on the physical part, and the Scrum was working on the software part. Can you throw more light on that?
Sure. When I made mention of the physical part, it's because this was a physical product that this organization had, taken to build. Like I made mention, it was a project for the Gemini Airbus cases. They were building cases. And so for this organization to accomplish the project that they had with this German company, they had to build physical cases, right? Then for those physical cases to really go out, they had a team of architects and they had teams of technicians and all those who had to contribute for them to come out with these cases. And so they used the Kanban framework to facilitate their job. So everybody saw what part or what level, how many cases were already bad. And for us to actually see that all of this was going on and successfully, and what was missing or what was needed to be brought in, there was another team that was working on the software, managing all the internal and external information of this particular product, which this particular team was using the Scrum framework to build those softwares that were running this whole project throughout the project life cycle. Thank you.
In terms of from the point of a Scrum Master, I think based on the way you explain,
Yeah.
The Kanban team working on the physical product, the Scrum team working on a more technical and software development. Did you see like was one team more easy to manage than the other? Or like what was like how would you say it is like working with a Kanban team and working a Scrum teams? One easier, the same level of conflict? What would you say?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And I would say the Kanban was a little bit challenging, but not really challenging, but I would say it was not as easy as using the those who were working on the software, because I had to like work with them each day when I had my sessions or my stand up with them, some of my meetings with them, those who were using the Kanban framework to carry out their own section of the project. Each time I meet with them, I had to go through a lot of we do sometimes, like when we're doing our demo, they're testing some of these physical product, we have to go out and test them on a physical soil, testing if these cases have the right quality. How we test some of them, sometimes like they leave them drop from a height of about 12 feet to see how solid these cases were. And so sometimes is carrying some of those activities. That's just what I can say. It looked a little bit different and a little bit difficult on the side where they were using the Kanban system of doing this. So, but if not, they were really okay.
Okay. Can you explain the different Scrum event you use with your Scrum team?
Sure, sir. Yeah, with Scrum, with my team, usually we get to start on our sprint we plan, we have our spring, and we usually do our springs 2 weeks. We do our spring planning meetings. After our spring planning meetings, we come up with what the team is ready to go with during that spring. They pull in enough work that they can carry throughout the spring. And then we have our daily Scrum, our daily meetings every 15 minutes every day, that the team like say what challenges they're going through from the work they've taken, and they tell us how far they've gone with what they had, and they tell us where they're looking at, what they're looking at doing today. And after the daily stand-ups, we have our spring review. After the team had completed this, they have completed work that they pull into the spring backlog. We had our review. This review usually sometimes take about an hour, 30 minutes. And then the stakeholders sit and we see what the team sees, show what they did. And if it is okay, good. If there is something missing, then we take a note on that. And my duty, my responsibility is just facilitating these meetings. Then after that, we have our spring retrospective. After the spring review, we have our retrospective, where my team and I, we sit together, since we are working towards a particular goal. We ask, like, we talk, we converse together as a team to know what challenges we had during the 2 weeks, what we achieved successfully, what didn't go well, and we find solutions to better ourselves in the next spring by creating some actions items, like what we have to stop doing and what we have to start doing in order for us to work effectively. Thank you. And so we basically run 4 different Scrum events.
Okay. I didn't hear you talk about the backlog refinement. Is that something
I'm sorry about that. We do the backlog refinement before even getting into our spring planning, because that's a time where the developers meet to like pull each item from the product backlog and real digest it to see if that particular item it's even ready to go into the spring before we start our spring planning. To me, I usually call it pre-spring planning. So we usually do that backlog every 2 weeks, every like it would take about 30 minutes, an hour to do it before we ever go into our spring planning. Thank you for reminding me that.
All right, thank you. When you spoke about your backlog review, you did mention that when all your stories are completed for the spring, you do your backlog review. What in the case where the story are not completed? Do you extend the spring, or what do you do?
Oh, that's a very good question. And Scrum doesn't really give us that let me say, it doesn't permit us to extend any, like, once you have a spring, like I said, we're working on a 2-week spring. Once you pull up work to be completed during your spring, it doesn't matter if we get it finished, because it's not even all the times that we complete the tasks which we have pulled in for the spring. But be it we finish or not, we still have to do a spring review, sir. So
What happened to The
Yeah,
stories
it's a
that are not
review.
completed.
Yeah, with stories that are not completed, we go back now into our retrospective. But in the spring review, we, you know, since it is an open environment, we explain to the stakeholders and to our PO what happened, what we think happened, that we were unable to complete those, you know, stories. And then if there are stories that we can, they need to go into the next spring, we pull them up into the next spring, and then we work on them. If we think we still need to refine them before working on them, then we take them back to the product backlog and do another, you know, and work together again as a team, refine it before working on them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now, let's talk about the product owner. What's your relationship with the product owner as a Scrum Master?
Yeah, as a Scrum Master, I have a close relationship with the product owner because like I can really, as a Scrum Master, work without, you know, like without the product owner, because he is so in charge of the product backlog, and I, like, you know, we are working as a team. So that's the first reason why I can work without him, because he is part of me and I am part of him. So, and my relationship with him will be because when he brings in the product backlog, I have to, like, you know, sit with him and see the vision or the value that this product is going to bring to the society, or what value this product have, and then we talk on it. And, you know, with Scrum, we have a criteria that a product has to meet, you know, like the stories have to meet a certain criteria before we even know that this is something that the team can work on. So my relationship with the PO is to sit down and prioritize prioritize these items in the product backlog, and then see some of the things that you know, see if these stories really meet like the invest criteria before we can consider them stories that the team have to work on. And when I mention of the invest criteria, I'm talking about if the stories are, you know, if the stories are, they are independent, if the stories are negotiable, if the stories they are valuable, you know, you can be doing something that is not going to bring value to the community. So we look at stock items like that, we go through that, and then if they're ready, we say, okay, this is good, then we leave it up to our team. So that's mainly what I do with the PO. That's my relationship with him. Thank you.
How do you handle stress as a Scrum Master?
Oh, thank you for that question. Stress, as a Scrum Master, you know, you work with different people and you meet too many different characters, but stress is something that you need to handle it from, you know, you have to build that mindset how to handle stress. And I think if I should measure from 1 to 5, I would say I can handle stress, especially at the level of working with a team. I can handle it up to 5. That's 100% I can handle stress. And I say this because we just go with an example. I had worked with a team that I came in when I just started this career as a Scrum Master, and I really didn't know how to, you know, facilitate most of the meetings, and I was working with a team of developers who were experts, and they were just like, what is he doing? Oh, why did they even bring him in? And that was when I was at maybe at the level of, at the peak level of my stress, but I worked it out and I asked myself, this is something I'm going to pursue. And if I start giving up at this moment because these guys are experts and I'm a beginner or I don't know anything yet, then I'm not going to go with this. And I told them, hey, I am going to do what I have to do. I had a conversation with them, and then I told them how my level of, being in the career, and discussing with them how we each have to help each other, to get better. They have to help me to get better while I help them on whatever they are lacking. And we finally became a very wonderful team. And from then I learned that whenever stress comes, figure out what you think is trying to make you stress, and then find a way to work it out, and you will not even have any stress. Thank you.
What have been a time you feel like quitting? Like, okay, you know what? I'm done. I'm not in this again.
Yeah. Like I said, that was when I just started my career. Like, that was when I felt like it wasn't my call. But I talked to my mentor, and he coached me and said, hey, the beginning is always like that. So unless you want to give up, and he showed me a lot of benefits. When I talk of benefits, I'm talking about the leadership role, what you are going to bring to the team that I should focus on, not how my team members are treating me. Those are not the only team members I'm going to have forever, and maybe I'll have them forever, but there is something good that is always gonna come out once you start getting used to them. So my mentor encouraged me, and yeah, that was the time I almost gave up, but thank God I consulted my mentor and he helped me and I figured that out. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with release planning and deployment?
Oh, sure. Yeah. In my organization, once we work on a product, and it has to be released, it has to be deployed. And so sometimes I'm involved, and what I do during the release planning or deployment is basically facilitating the event and making sure that all the aspect or all the members who are involved to make this event run through are engaged, and everybody is committed to it, and then basically facilitating the event.
And how frequently did you guys always deploy? Or the frequency?
Oh, we in my organization, we do a quarterly deployment release, and we deploy after every 3 months in my organization.
Okay, every 3 months. Thank you. Yeah, I think we kind of gone through most of the question, but then before kind of roll the floor to you, I want us to talk a bit about sprint planning.
Okay.
What do you think is the most important aspect of sprint planning, and why should we really consider doing effective sprint planning?
Oh, sure. Thank you for that question. Sprint planning, as the name itself says, it's a plan that as a team, without that, you're not gonna execute anything, right? So I think the aspect with sprint planning is making sure, usually I would say three things will be involved: making sure the items we want to work on are ready to be worked on. That's what we do. The how and the what, which is basically the what is the value that product is bringing. We all need to know what this product is doing to the society before planning on how to go about it. And then the how, to get this product completed, built, or, you know, go through the life cycle. We as a team, we need to know if we have the right skills, we have, you know, all that is needed, the tools and the time needed to carry out this. And for us to do all of this, for us to identify all what is needed to get this product, you know, delivered to our customers, we need a perfect sprint planning. We need a clear understanding of the product, of what the product is. And that is why I would say the sprint planning is very, very essential, and we really need to work on it. Thank you.
All right. And what are some of the techniques you use in estimating the right amount of work your team will commit to during sprint planning?
Oh, yeah. You know, there are many techniques, like I would say, but usually, especially with the team I'm currently working with, we use the poker planning technique. We use the t-shirt sizing technique to, you know, to know the size of the stories we're pulling in to work on, to, you know, to estimate our stories. We use equally the Fibonacci sequence technique to know what stories, and to know the size of a story, and to know how many developers, or how long a developer is going to use to get it completed. Those are some of the techniques we use.
Okay, thank you. I think our time is fast spent. I kind of did not really notice we already clocking about 30 minutes. So do you have any question for me?
Oh, sure, sir. I had two questions for you.
Yeah.
And the first one will go by, if you may help me understand what is your interview procedure?
Yeah, so we kind of rather in the first phase we interviewing a couple of people, and definitely I think there's going to be about 2 to 3 more rounds, and we definitely want to take our time to pick the best candidate. So it's gonna be, if you go through this phase, I think there's gonna be 2 more rounds. Then we'll do it. We'll go to the final decision.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And that brings me to my second question. You know, I am so interested in the company, and like I told you before, I've made mention before, I have gone through the company and I saw their vision, and I just wish to ask, where do this company see themselves in about 5 years? So.
Okay, so maybe the CEO is gonna be the best one to answer that, but I would say we're pretty more in a fast-growing environment, and the company has already grown in size for the past 5 years, and the number of staff it's kind of double, and which is also the reason why we're looking for more talented people to join our team. So they're doing pretty good. I can say that.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And that will be all for my questions today, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. So how can you rate yourself? If you were to rate yourself on how you perform. Anyway, that's a good job, but I wanted to rate your first before I give the feedback.
We still on record.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. If I rate myself, because I realized on the question around Kanban and Scrum, I would say I didn't. From what, if I can recall what I said, I think what scale am I rating myself? Scale of
scale of 5.
Okay. I would say I'm 3. Yeah.
3 or 5.
Yeah, 3 on 5.
You're right.
And I can give reasons why I say I am 3 on 5. I think my comfortness of saying what I said, it's a little bit better from who I know I used to be, but explaining how I managed to, like, coordinate the two teams, a Kanban and the Scrum, I think I choose the wrong. I think I choose the wrong, so I didn't really express myself well in that.
But yeah. you managed to convince me that you knew exactly what you were talking about, though. So I did not really have a problem with that. Yeah, you kind of managed. Now, the first thing with that is different organizations have the different way they run stuff. So the way you explain it, kind of, I was satisfied with the answer. Maybe there would have been a better way to explain it, but I think your answer was satisfactory.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so I would say your level of mastery is really, really good now. What you should work on, sometimes you go so in detail, and because you're going so much in detail, you see yourself now trying to make kind of fully struggling to really fit in. Okay. When you were talking about stories and you talk about invest, and you wanted to kind of give the detailed meaning of invest and all of that, you realize that you kind of really struggle and you did not really complete all the meaning of
That's
invest.
Right.
Yes. Then secondly, you need to pay some attention to details. For instance, when we talk about the Scrum events, right? Yes. What about the Scrum event? Yeah, you answer the question, but you went so much detail. Now, when you're so detailed in explaining, what happened is that you open so many windows for questions. Okay. Remember, I asked you follow-up questions like, it's okay, what happened to the story that were not completed? Because you are trying to explain how the details, what happened, if our stories are not completed, or wait until when we complete our stories, then we'll move to the spring review. Then I was like, okay, what if the story are not completed? We do not move. So I picked up those questions now from the loopholes I was saying. So if I say, okay, give me how you use the Scrum event, it doesn't really mean that you need to go pick one and explain. You can basically say that, I thank you for that question. Yeah, I help my team plan their work during the spring planning. And spring planning, we definitely size our stories using the planning poker technique and getting our estimation using the Fibonacci sequence. All right, this is also where when you were talking about how you estimate story, you mentioned the planning poker, you mentioned the t-shirt size, and a team most often go with just one technique. So if they're using the t-shirt size, they're not going to use the poker planning. So poker planning, it kind of help you to look at the different sizes of the stories. Like what is the size of this story? Now the t-shirt size also help you to look at what is the size of the story, right? But then a team can still use both in some cases. if the stories are like too large and they want to kind of break it down into small, big, large, and stuff, and before pointing it, they can still use the t-shirt size, then the Fibonacci sequence. But most of my experience just go with the Planet Poker, which when you open a story, you have a discussion about it, and the team say, okay, I think this story is ready for development. Now we'll go ahead and point it, or it's ready for pointing. We'll go ahead and the team assign a story point to it. We'll assign a story point to it, then it's ready for development. Yeah. Then, okay. So now where I was talking about attention to details, I did ask like, what was the difference between Kanban and Scrum? You kind of really went to still give me just the details of what your team does using Kanban and Scrum. Now, the two things, I don't know if you mastered that. Yeah. That was not really what I needed.
Okay.
What I needed was for you to say, oh, I think with Scrum, it's a bit more easy because 2-week cycles, or we run all the 4 events. But with Kanban team, with my Kanban team, maybe we just have just the daily stand up, and we do maybe the 4 weeks. We have review maybe every other day or other stuff. So what was the difference you want? Because the Kanban team is kind of really flexible, different on the environment. The Scrum is like more specific, the way they do stuff, the 2-week cycle. So the Kanban team might have maybe one month sprint, they might really have, but the goal of the Kanban is to look at how they can limit work in progress, and they can help everyone see this. But they don't so much limit like work flowing in when they have started. They just focus on, we want to see how fast we can move these stories across the lane. So sometimes if you ask a question and you don't know so much detail, just say the lead that you know and close it at that level. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Then I love the way you answer situational questions, like the question about stress and the time you want to pick up, bringing that very practical example really kind of convinced me that you've been in a real environment, so which was really good. And then when I spoke about the relationship with your PO as well, yes, the way you answer it was also really convincing as well. So if I just wanted to add a bit on how to build good relationship with the PO, it's more on okay, the PO is the main person that interacts with the stakeholders, and your goal is to see the overall awareness of the team. So you really need to build that close collaboration with the PO in order to have an update, in order to make sure that it's a healthy relationship. And you can even say, oh, I meet with my PO once every week, just to make sure that we can talk about some of our experiences working with the team, what we need to improve, get some feedback from each other. And because we really kind of work in a very close way, we have a really good relationship that's helping our team to really do well.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, I think those were like the key questions you asked. Now, when I kind of gave you the opportunity to ask a question, one of the questions you asked was like, what is the future of this company in the next 5 years or so? It's a good question, but not a good question for you to ask as an interviewer, right? Because you probably will be asking the wrong person. Maybe the person interviewing you might just be a developer that's assigned to do the work, and you don't really know. That question is like someone in the management role, so you might not really know their level of management. So yes, you probably would ask about maybe a bit about the company culture, or a bit about the company agile journey. And you can want to ask them, okay, I love the one you asked them about the interview processes. That was good. And then you can, if you're courageous enough, you can want to ask them, if they have any feedback for you. But if this was your first ever interview, I would definitely move you to the next level. Yeah, based on the level which you did. So my encouragement would be kind of re-listen to this video, then try to see where you think you can improve, work on it. There's definitely no magical way of really getting maybe superhero on this, apart from just trying to see look at how you can improve. And the things that you don't really master, the way to master them is to write them down. Or you can get a book, write them down, and try to go over it again. And definitely you're gonna be good. Yeah. Key stuff to master your event. Okay, I love the way you also answer the release planning. That's a question that throws so many people off. Yeah,
you talked about it the last time a little, and I was trying to recall what you were saying.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
The release planning most often is just how are we going to deliver it to the client. That's just in the simple term. And it's just like, okay, every 3 months we're gonna release, every 2 months we're gonna release. And you, the Scrum Master, your bigger goal in release planning is just to understand how the plan to send out the release and see how you can help your team prioritize the work that need to align with the next release and all of that. But the people that really kind of facilitate deployment are the technical end. Most companies, the PO, if you work in a safe environment, the release train engineer, those who are kind of the most technical. In most of the company, the senior developer also might just have facilitated the process because it's more technical stuff. So you as a Scrum Master, you're just kind of following up and making sure that they're paying attention to the plans, and that's it.
Oh, thank you so much, sir.
All right, good job, Brody.